Hey, what's going on everybody? It's ETAPRIME back here again. Today we're going to be taking a look at the all-new Ayaneo Air 1S. Now you might be familiar with the Ayaneo Air, but when it comes to the new 1S model, we've got some majorly upgraded internal specs. Now the original Air model came with a 5000 series Ryzen APU, but when it comes to the new 1S model, we've got the Ryzen 7 7840U. So this is offering a significant jump in performance, but we've still got that same beautiful 5.5-inch AMOLED display, one of the best looking screens on the market right now when it comes to handhelds in my opinion. And we've still got that same small form factor footprint. This is a Ryzen 7000 series handheld that'll actually fit in your pocket. So we've seen some other pretty light handhelds, but the lightest one that I've been able to get my hands on was 450 grams. So this is significantly lighter than that. And of course, it's going to come in much lighter than the Steam Deck or even the ROG Ally. The version I have here is the Retro Power version, and personally I really do like the color scheme, but keep in mind they're also offering a white variant, black variant, and a special edition Retro, which, on screen kind of looks gray with some red and black accents. But keep in mind, the limited Retro version comes with a much smaller battery. I've always liked the Ayaneo Retro editions. We've got that off-white with the green accents. I do think it looks pretty good. And up top here, we've got our power button / fingerprint sensor, volume rocker, USB 4 port, and tons of ventilation for the built-in cooler. And of course, we've got our shoulder buttons and Hall-based triggers. Now, moving around to the bottom of the unit, this is utilizing Ayaneo's brand new dual stereo speaker system, and I was blown away by how loud this thing gets. It sounds super clear, and it was just pretty amazing seeing the size of this unit and what kind of sound it can put out. But down here, we've also got another USB 4 port, a 3.5mm audio jack, and a micro SD card reader. I've always enjoyed the overall design of the Ayaneo Air, and they've kept it here. Round back, not much going on, but we do have plenty of ventilation. We're going to pull in air from the back. It's going to push it out from that top vent, and I do think it looks really good. Now, I wanted to give you an idea of the overall size here. It's definitely one of the smallest handhelds on the market, only coming in with that 5.5-inch display, but it's an absolutely amazing AMOLED 5.5-inch display. One of my favorites. Super deep blacks, very vibrant colors, and as you can see, when you compare this to the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally, definitely looks like a much smaller unit. 38 watt-hour battery in the Air 1S. Now it is smaller than the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck, both of those coming in with 45 watt batteries, but just taking a look at the overall size when you compare it to those two, really impressive. And when it comes to the main specs of the Ayaneo Air 1S, for that APU, we've got the AMD Ryzen 7 7840U. 8 cores based on Zen 4, we've got 16 threads there, a base clock of 3.3 and a boost up to 5.1 GHz. A built-in AMD Radeon 780M iGPU based on RDNA3. We've got 12 CUs and it runs up to 2700 MHz. You can get this with either 16 or 32 GB of LPDDR5 RAM. It also uses a 2280 M.2 NVMe SSD, and you can get this with either 512 GB up to 4 TB of storage. And of course, we've got that absolutely gorgeous 5.5-inch 1080p AMOLED display. This runs at 60 Hz. Wi-Fi 6, Bluetooth 5.2, a 38 watt-hour battery. It only weighs 405 grams, and it's running Windows 11 right out of the box. Overall, it's a very comfortable handheld due to the ergonomics and especially the weight. Now, this is significantly much lighter than the Steam Deck or the ROG Ally. Remember, the Steam Deck is 669 grams, the ROG Ally is coming in at 608. We're only at 405 grams here. So yeah, I mean, you can definitely hang on to this thing for much longer. Like I mentioned, it's got those Hall-based triggers, plus we've got Hall-based analog sticks, and we've got that good old Ayaneo D-pad. Now, this one isn't as good as the new Ayaneo 2S D-pad, but it's much better than others that are on the market. And of course, when it comes to software, we've got ISpace. In fact, this actually shipped to me with ISpace 2.0. Hopefully, all of these will be shipping with 2.0, but since we have it here, I figured we'd take a closer look. So I wanted to jump in here a little closer to show you ISpace 2, and pressing that button once is going to bring up our little performance overlay. From here, we've got a lot that we can change, but if we hold that button for 3 seconds, it'll actually bring us into ISpace 2, the main interface. From the home page here, it's automatically going to scan our default directories, detect the games we have, and you can also set up a different directory if you want to from here, but it does a pretty good job. I've got some Xbox, some Epic games, and some Steam games installed here, and it's found everything that I've got installed on this device right now. heading into one of these games. Gives us some information. This will also download some images and metadata. I think it looks really good. From options, we can modify that data in case something's wrong or you want to change something in there. You can add more images. Cloud data can be backed up. You can totally delete the game, remove from the library, and you can even hide it. So with something like this right here, it's automatically installed with the Xbox app on Windows. I'm just going to go to options and we'll go ahead and hide it. That way I don't have to see solitary. I'll delete it later on. Really like what they've done here. Very smooth animations. From the installed games, gives us a nice little separated list here. But really all the magic happens up here in the settings. From the account section, you can set up an avatar or sign in with your Ayaneo ID. The performance section here with ISpace 2 has really been revamped. So we've got an FPS limiter, unlimited, 30, and we can go in between 30 up to 60 here. We've only got a 60 Hertz display. Usually I leave it on unlimited for testing, but I usually just lock it down at 60 to try to keep that power down with games that will run over 60. And of course, if you just want to use the presets, we've got a AAA game preset, normal game, retro game, PC, office. And you can create your own custom preset here. Now moving down a bit, TDP. This is going to be very important for getting good performance out of these devices. Now we can go down to 5 watts and up to 25, but we've also got a smart mode all the way at the end. This will disable turbo boost on the CPU, but keep in mind the 7840U already has a base clock of 3.3 gigahertz, which is actually a lot for most of these AAA games. Smart TDP is going to try to adjust that wattage accordingly to your FPS limit. So for instance, if we set this to 30, with Smart TDP on, we won't need to pull as much power as if we were with 60. And what I've seen so far with this is the 7840U will go up to 28 watts. Power policy, fan configuration, and we can fully adjust this fan curve if we want to. Really great for setting up a custom preset here. CPU lock, we can set the maximum frequency that the CPU will go up to. Same thing with the GPU lock. Disable CPU turbo without auto TDP. Again, it already runs at 3.3 gigahertz. But overall, with these new performance settings they've added with ISpace 2, it really gives us some more flexibility. We can definitely tune these machines to our liking. On-screen system monitoring. If you don't want to mess around with Afterburner, you can just download Rivatuner and enable it from here. It'll give us our CPU clocks, GPU clocks, TDP, and FPS. You can also customize this. Bluetooth settings, Wi-Fi settings. We can customize the interface here. We can go with a light or dark theme, plus we can change the text color, subtext, so you can really make ISpace 2 look how you want it to. General settings, Windows settings. We can also fully customize all of the buttons, sticks, and triggers on this Ayaneo device. We've been able to do this for a long time. So from the joystick section, we can set our dead zones, our sensitivity, range adjustment, analog triggers, same thing here. Set up custom buttons, change our vibration intensity, calibrate the gyro, quick open buttons, and our RGB lights. So we've got presets that we can use: Ripple, Radar, Google Breathe, RGB Breathe, Monochrome Breathe, Default. And you can also set up custom colors, which is what I like to do with all of my devices. We can change the brightness here, and we can disable the RGB altogether. So yeah, there is quite a lot built into ISpace 2. Really, you just need to get in here and mess around with it. Usually, I'm just with the quick settings, so that single tap on the Aya button, we can get right in here at any time, even when we're in a game. The next thing I wanted to take a look at were some system benchmarks using 3D Mark. Keep in mind, we're at a 20 watt TDP while running these tests, and with Night Raid, we scored a 26,611. With Firestrike, we came in with a 6,904, and finally, Time Spy here with a 2,981. Now we could definitely up all of these scores by upping the TDP, but I wanted to keep it reasonable here due to battery constraints, given that we only have that 38 watt hour battery. So on the fly at 20 watts, this is what we scored here. But yeah, I mean, taking it up to 30 will increase these significantly. But now it's time to check out some gaming on this device. And the first one we have here is Forza Horizon 5. 720p medium settings with a 15 watt TDP, we can average 74 FPS with this game. And at 15 watts, low settings, 1080, we can do over 60 with it. But you know, I wanted to keep that wattage down to get better battery life out of it. And since we're working with the smaller, more compact AMOLED display, 720p really pops on this thing. Moving over to an oldie but a goodie, GTA5 1080p, normal settings, 15 watts. And you can see, I mean, we're right there on the edge. I have seen a couple dips under 60 with it set up like this. So taking it up by 1 more watt, I mean, we could definitely get a steady 60 all the way through. And I know it's an older one, but I still have a lot of fun playing this, especially single player. I've never been into the online aspect of this because I personally hate microtransactions. But yeah, GTA 5 runs great on this device at 15 watts. I had to throw in at least one new fighting game to give you an idea of how good this D-pad is. We've got Street Fighter 6 1080p, low, only at 15 watts, and we can run this with a high-medium mix at 720 if you want to, but yeah, I mean, it still looks great. This D-pad is awesome. Again, it's not as good as the Ayaneo 2 or the 2S. The 2 and the 2S just feel a little firmer to me, but both of them have great roll, so they're really awesome for fighting games, but the accuracy is also there for your favorite platformers also. Next on the list, we've got Horizon Zero Dawn, 1080p medium, and we're at 20 watts. This is one of those games that works amazingly on these RDNA3 based APUs, and by the end of this, we had an average of 71 FPS. We did have a bit of a low load there, a little bit of a hiccup, coming in at 28, and we had a maximum of 164 FPS. I also wanted to test out Red Dead Redemption 2, 720p low, 20 watts, just using the built-in benchmark, kind of goes over everything we need to see here. And at the end of this one, we had an average of 71 FPS, a maximum of 126, and a low of 16. And the final game we're going to be testing for this video is Cyberpunk 2077. We can get an average of 77 FPS, which is definitely fallen in line with the other 7840U handhelds that we've taken a look at with this game at 720p low. I've been really impressed with all of the updates that CD Projekt Red has done to this game. You know, when it first released, we had a heck of a time running it, even at 30 FPS on an APU. I know we've got more power than older 5000 series APUs from the time when this was released, but just seeing what we can do here on an iGPU with Cyberpunk 2077 is really amazing. The main concern a lot of people are going to have with a handheld like this is battery life. We've got a 38 watt-hour battery, which is smaller than the Steam Deck and the ROG Ally. So what I've done here is just run a few quick rough tests. With the TDP set at 10 watts on this unit, we've got a total battery draw of 17 watts. And keep in mind, this is total battery draw. This is including the screen, the RGB, and the volume on those speakers. At a 15 watt TDP, total draw is 25, and 20 watt TDP, total draw from that battery is 33 watts. Using some simple math here, at 10 watts, we could theoretically get 130 minutes of battery life. 15 watts, it drops down to 91, and at 20 watts, 69 minutes. Nice. I consider these lab tests because what I did here was just set that TDP, I maxed out the GPU and CPU, took a look at total battery draw. I can almost guarantee that real-world battery life will be a bit less than this. That's exactly how it usually works, but you know, given what we know now, what kind of battery draw we have at those wattages, this is what I've come up with. Overall, really like the design of the Ayaneo Air 1S. I mean, we've got that same design from the original Ayaneo Air. Love the D-pad here. Analog sticks do work great, but just remember they are the smaller Hall-based analog sticks, kind of the Switch size analog sticks. So if you wanted the larger ones, you will have to go with the larger handheld. But the main thing this has going for it really is that display. And I know it's a smaller 5.5-inch display, but since it's an AMOLED screen, I mean, we've got amazing viewing angles, super deep blacks, the colors really pop. In my opinion, it is the best looking screen we have right now on an x86 handheld, and I'd love to see Ayaneo do this with a much larger display. 7-inch or even over 7-inch with an AMOLED would be amazing. If you're interested in learning a little more about the Ayaneo Air 1S, I will leave some links in the description. Their official website, plus the Indiegogo is live right now. And if there's anything else you want to see running on this handheld, just let me know in the comments below. But that's going to wrap it up for this one. Like always, thanks for watching.